Hello and welcome to the New Times. My name is Davis Hijiro, and today I and my team have visited Pan-African Movement Rwanda office, and I am going to have a conversation with the chairperson, Mr. Protais Musoni. We're going to talk about his recent re-election of another 3-year term to lead the organization. We'll talk about what the previous term had and the progress they had, what are the challenges and what the future holds for the organization and Rwandans and Africans at large. So allow me to welcome Mr. Protais Musoni. Hello, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for making time to talk to us and for welcoming us in your good office here. Are you well?
You're welcome. I'm well.
Yeah, that's great. And you allow me to congratulate you once again for your re-election.
Thank you.
Yes. Talk to us. What are the main priorities for the Pan-African movement, Rwanda Chapter, in this 3-year new term?
Thank you. For the next 3 years, I would call it as the main gist of the program is strengthening what has already been created. I would start, we are now have structures up to cell level, some moving to Mudugudu level, which means we are getting many Pan-African members. So you need it now to give them a working directives, coach them, so they can be able to look at the world events, interpret them through Pan-African ideology, and determine what to do, either to move forward the agenda of Pan-Africanism or block the negative impact that the global events may have on us. So that's the basic one. Again, we have started youth Pan-African leadership training. As we reported last time, we are now in 8 universities, and we would want to roll the whole training program to all institutions of higher learning, be able to start some level of discussions, debates, dialogue in the secondary schools, so that in the end we have a youth that is at home with the ideology, understand the past very well, know the weaknesses of the present, and be able to feel committed to shape the Africa we want.
I'm inclined to ask you, for a young person who is following us and is wondering what Pan-African movement does, or what is the spirit behind it, what would be your brief explanation to them?
My brief explanation really, it's a movement whose commitment is the dignity of the African. You know, the last 6 centuries or so have affected the way the African relates with himself and with others through slave trade and through colonization. You know, if you are continually being told that you relate yourself to the Europeans, everything is the other one, and the others also see you as inferior, which is not true. The Africans are not inferior. So we need to say this period of, say, focused exploitation through trade, through commerce, through media, and all that one. How can it be reversed so that the African can have their own independence in decision making and the impact they can have to the rest of the world? So basically that's, I would say, dignity on the purpose of the African. And in a way, for the young ones,
Yes.
you see, colonization and neo-colonization have created, I would say, the fragmenting of America states by creating a United States of America. That one has been resolved. Asia is moving along those lines. So it's the Africa that you find fragmentation in mentality, in outlook, and in infrastructure. Linkages are very difficult. So that's what we want. We need to work towards resolving that one.
Right. Now, I feel like there is a lot we can unpack in what you just explained.
I totally agree. Yes, yes.
There is the part of changing mindset. There is the part of looking why is Africa still lagging behind.
Yes.
When you compare it with other continents, if you talk about Europe, if you talk about Asia, these are other continents that will unify, that will come together for them to grow and develop together. What is being done to change the mindset of young Rwandans? Because I believe that's the foundation of having an Africa or a country that is with one mind and same spirit.
The starting point is for them to understand themselves and to value themselves. So the historical perspective of you are now at this point, this is how it came about. And there is a vision of having a united, prosperous Africa ahead of us, and here is how you can collaborate to create that Africa. So basically, that's the strategy. You will find quite a number of young men and young girls that don't know how they are here.
Yes.
Right? Our school system has not helped them to give them that historical background. The families have not done adequate with explanations, so they understand it. You will find them being pulled more and more into the other developed countries in terms of language, in terms of culture, in terms of that one. So we have to make sure that we have a dialogue with them to understand that it's much better if you are proud of yourself and it doesn't stop you from adopting certain practices you see beneficial to you.
Yes.
Adapt them to yourself and then move forward with the others. Instead of blindly simply copying and you think, colonialism main push was resource exploitation and the market for their produce. Up to now it's the same. So through media, social media and whatever, films and that kind of thing, we are still conditioned into more and more remaining as a market.
Right.
Not producers of what we need, but rather a market of what others are doing. Simply because we have been told it's better, it's good. Sometimes when it is trash.
Right. Some of the cultures cannot fit in the African context.
They actually destroy it.
They destroy it.
They destroy it.
Let's talk about the theme of the celebration of the 62nd African Liberation Day. It says, allow me to read it, intergenerational approach to development, a panacea for stability and economic independence in Africa. What does this mean?
Well, let me describe a certain bizarre situation which Nyerere described. Education uprooting us from society. I don't know your background, but take my background. Of course, my father knew how to read and write,
right,
but he couldn't speak French and English and read them and so on. So the moment you come out and start reading in English and speaking English and so on, and the kind of condition you are being given, through our history, they came to civilize us, that kind of thing. You will think your father who doesn't know English and French and so on is backward. And that means you are not going to listen to him for the wisdom accumulated in him and his father and his father.
Right.
So that gap of retro dialogue and conversation between the old generation and new generation, right? The old generation will say the new ones, they don't listen. They're jumping, they move. Yes. Now, the new ones will say, oh, these ones, they're too old. They are in their days. Now, the Rwanda proverb that who doesn't discuss with the father doesn't know what the grandfather said.
Right.
Left. And basically that means the experience that has transported into knowledge, into wisdom, is transmitted through a son and a son to a son. But now once you put the gap of that dialogue, you have broken the capacity transmission. So you will be educated, but rootless.
Right.
In society, in a community, you have nothing to anchor you into it because you don't have that one. So in a way, we are saying we need to develop that so that you know, okay, this house we are in is here because I built it, and these were the reasons I was thinking through me to build it. Of course, for you who is now exposed into and other types of houses, you look at it in shame.
Yes, yes.
But if you understand the logic that built it, and where it has raised him or her, appreciation of building on that one will be good, instead of wanting to destroy and build anew. So that's basically say take Rwanda.
Yes.
What has been so far is serving us all, right? On sacrifices which need to be told. Now, once you are into it and you remember, oh, somebody struggled to get this place as it is now, it's not the best in comparison with Japan, with Russia, with... But now it is, again, I'm going to Kinyarwanda culture. Gucyura ikivi. You see, what I start, you feel it as an obligation to complete. Instead of sidelining and starting anew. That kind of, because there's a lot of wastage in terms of energy, in terms of financing, in terms of even mental attitude. You can, okay, I'll give you another. To move forward, you need certain level of assets.
Yes.
And some of those assets are accumulated intergenerationally. But the moment you look at the other assets and downgrade them, then you cannot be able to start on them. You have to start anew. And by the time the old man is gone, the asset will be useless because you don't know how to use it. So those are some of the...
How are we going to bridge the gap that is already here between the old generation and the young generation?
Yes, deliberately, if we follow the Congress, once we form our commissions, we shall be deliberately combining at least 3 generations.
Yes.
3 to 4. Those, if we members who are over 70, plus members who are around 50, plus members around 30, and members around 20, if we put them together and say, for example, if you are in a commission for promoting trade across Africa, then, one above 70 will be telling you how it was, the 150, which treaties and so on, how it is and so on, what is failing. Take the FCTA that was signed in Kigali here.
Yes.
I can easily tell you what was provided for and which countries are implementing, which are not implementing.
Yes.
Now, if I work out with you why it's not being done, and you appreciate that it should be done, and you say, I'm going to work towards it happening, that's better than starting from zero at it. So that's the one way. The second way is we want to be holding, we call them evening, weekend discussion groups. So that you get men into universities. Where we get their conferences, so that people, you interject. I've used the trade, but you can now use peace and wars.
Yes.
Discuss those ones. You can next discuss education. How come we're not getting good researchers to give us new products? So, and we depend on researchers on the other end. So those are the dialogue we want to promote.
Yes.
Some led by the older generation, others raised out by the young generations. So at in the end, again, the whole purpose is the accumulated wisdom from the old and the innovative juices from the young should flow together to create a new thing altogether.
Yes. Yeah. In your view, how do you think Rwanda is going to shape, or what is the role of Rwanda in shaping a united and self-reliant Africa?
Africa, where? First of all, it can't be Rwanda shaping it. Let's shape Rwanda into that image, into that vision of 2063. But let's also network with other people in other countries, especially in dissecting the causes, the weaknesses and the causes of the weaknesses and what needs to be done.
Yes.
And that one we can, apart from doing meetings in the national area, now with internet and so on, we can hold as many meetings as possible.
Yes.
And discuss. Even now we have started. I'm in the Pan-African Rwanda Chapter, but I'm also in another international organization of Pan-Africanist Federation, and we can exchange. I'm in Central Africa. So it's a question really of saying, do we know where we are going? Yes, most of people will say, yes, we want it. We want to be united, right? We want to be peaceful. We want to be rich. We don't want the spiritual complex of others over us.
Right.
Everybody will agree on that one. It is how to get there.
Implementing.
Yes, how do we break the barriers in our minds first? The fragmentation I was talking about, how do you break them? So that when you see an African, you see an African and accommodate to fight together for what you want to get to. So those ones will happen. You have seen recently when you were holding this Congress.
Yes.
There was also a women Congress of entrepreneurs. So that's the thing, get people from Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Central Africa, discuss with our women. Now if they set up a mechanism of producing and trading together, their children will know it's happening. They will say, oh, you have gone to Rwanda, oh, I've gone to... And somehow we shall bring, remove those barriers that tell us we are not the same.
Yes.
Yes.
I am wondering, this is also, it is picking up from what you were saying. How is the Rwandan chapter, PAM-Rwanda, how does it work with other African bodies? And what are the projects in the pipeline that are going to impact Rwanda, impact Africans? So now we're looking at the road ahead for PAM-Rwanda in the next 3 years.
You know, a black in the United States, a black in Brazil, a black in Cambodia, a black in... Somehow, because of the history of slavery, doesn't have the same dignity as the people in that land. Right?
Yes.
Now, for us who have been under colonialism, our dignity in the eyes of others is also low. So those who started the idea, the pan means all of us, all black. We need to pull together to be united so that you can reclaim our dignity.
Right.
So that's why you find in Europe is a region, in America there is a region, in the Caribbean there is a region, in Brazil there is a region, and then Africa we have 5 regions, the usual north, east, west, south, and center, right?
Yes.
Now, so that is on dignity. If, for example, in America, the movement called Black Lives Matter,
Yes.
right? You have seen how blacks are killed on the streets unnecessarily. The suspicion that he's black, he must be a criminal. Yeah? You see that?
Yes.
The differential treatment
Yes.
touches my heart. So I in solidarity now I have to know it's not what is happening to him would happen to me if I'm there. Because it's not because he's a criminal, it's because he's black that he's being mishandled. So that's solidarity. That's what PAN means, all of us.
Yes.
We need to have that solidarity to reclaim the dignity, first of all, as a people,
Yes.
but also as able and creators of wealth, as we should be. So that's the idea. Now, I've talked about those languages. So we have a global secretariat. It's now sitting in Kampala. Then we have those regions are supposed. Now I'm using the word supposed.
Supposed, yes.
Because in Eastern African region, for example, we should be having an organizing committee, but we don't have.
Why?
Why? I think I would put it to political will. People to have really thought through this and said, I'm nobody until every African has dignity. So the fragmentation, the focus on national, I'm proud if I say that, I'll give an example.
Yes.
I'm a Kenyan, I'm richer
Yes.
than a Rwandan, right? Somebody can have that mentality. But if you say, oh, I'm richer as a Kenyan, but I'm exploited just as a Rwandan is exploited, in the fact that when I'm selling, exporting, I don't determine the price. It is where I'm exporting. When I'm importing, I don't determine the price.
It's the way I'm
It is the other ones who determine. So there's double exploitation on him, just as there's double exploitation on me.
Yes.
And yet if we say, no, let's now exchange ourselves.
Yes.
On prices you can determine. He will be better off, I will be better off, and we shall build bigger economies and so on.
Yes.
So that's where low political will hinged on low awareness and the discerning of things the way they should be.
Yes.
The other day, actually we organized some 6 years ago, we organized to make that one. But because there was a provision to create a committee, there are other committee for youth, committee for women, committee for academia, and then after they have completed, we meet and elect a coordinating committee for. Now, when we were in Kenya, we found there were 2 movements of youth, so they couldn't elect independently
groups.
So we couldn't move forward.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, organize your house. When you are ready, tell us. I think the house is not yet organized.
6 years.
6 years.
My goodness.
Yes. But I would put it blankly to you, just as other weaknesses. I'm a fan of decentralized governance.
Yes.
But there must always be a hierarchy of policy direction, organizing, and sanctioning if things are not done as they should be done. That's why we still have a lot of weakness.
What about governments and leaders, the African
Now,
governments and leaders?
that's another bit of an issue. Pan-African movement was very instrumental in getting independence for Africa. But imperialistic powers, in collaboration with other internal weaknesses, most of the people who got to independence, their members, and so on and so on, they were removed. And those who were installed were non-Pan-Africanists. Now, you get a general, General Mobutu, and Bokassa, and so on and so on. They will be suspicious of the agenda of Pan-African. You know, they want to be small, big kings in a small country.
Yes.
So Pan-African movement tended to drop. It remained only in the elite, in the writings and so on, mainly blaming and complaining.
Yes.
So that was an issue that had to be told. Now, fortunately, around the 80s, with the structural adjustment programs that impoverished Africa further, there was another wave of young people, thinkers. They said, no, what's wrong? Why aren't we like others? We are educated, we know this one and so on. And another wave of, I would say, liberation.
Yes.
Just like it happened in Rwanda. And where it happened, you see mushrooming of Pan-Africanist movement. Because it is a Pan-African ideology that gave them the impetus to liberate their people from injustices and so on.
Yes.
So here we are lucky. Our president and patron is a Pan-Africanist, right? In others, if Pan-Africans started to organize, let's say, well, I don't have to talk about countries, but people, they will be suspicious of them.
Yes. And
either put them in prison or... So that's a major issue, that as long as African countries are led by non-Pan-Africanists,
leaders,
then the agenda will take long to be achieved. And that's my view, that we need to get I call it mass education, create them awareness, be able to discern what is happening and how they can avoid it. And then out of them, always, if say out of the 54 countries, if 30 can be led by Pan-Africanists, then the agenda would move forward. So you need make the conditions in the people, in the citizens. Then out of the citizens, we are going to get the right leaders, and the right leaders will make the vision happen. That's my view.
How would you rate the progress on the, not only in Rwanda, on the continent, of the growth or the spirit of Pan-Africanism?
The spirit of Pan-African has never died. Just read any document in any country, they always start with Pan-African spirit. All of them. And that shows you why it is a correct strategy.
Yes.
And agenda. Anyone. And currently I see, what I see in Central Africa, I see emerging Pan-African spirit which wants things to change and move forward into it. Just look at even your social media videos and the kinds. There is some already say know where to do, and they want to move there.
Their mindsets have changed.
They are changed. Others are still groping, wanting to understand why things are like that one. And that once you start searching, you are ready for education.
How can the education system in Rwanda and Africa contribute to that?
It's a long story. First of all, we need to decolonize the education system, even here in Rwanda. Which history is taught here? Or
Europe, Napoleon,
geography,
yes.
that kind of thing. So you ask, and that's what we are advocating, and we are going to ask yourself, why am I teaching this to this child? What will it benefit him into growth, development, and capabilities? So we are still teaching non-issues, poisoning our people. If we go to most of these private schools here, young ones,
Yes.
even a child to say Kinyarwanda is still a taboo. It's French, it's English, and people are proud
I know.
of that one.
They don't understand their mother language.
Their mother language, they don't. And if you don't know your language, you don't have your culture. You don't have your culture, you are groping in the dark.
Right.
You're not well stationed. So that's one thing we need to revisit that one. So that it becomes more giving dignity to ourselves, grow with dignity, but more important, as we are discussing in African Liberation Day, link education centers with production centers. Shouldn't you will find a person that is in a agricultural college who gets out without knowing how to manage agriculture. So we need to link that one. Somebody in the veterinary services who doesn't know even
what
the disease and which drug and how it is administered.
Right.
So theoretically, a person on paper, but
Understand.
practically cannot do that one. And in the end, we are in the old colonial scheme of things, educating people for jobs in the offices.
Right.
And that's a dangerous thing. So we have to really review that one. Again, we proposed something very debatable, but which we can keep. When you go to AU, the languages that they use English, French, Portuguese, Spanish. Those are colonial languages. And they separated them, by the way. If you are speaking and English speaking, you are not, you are suspicious of each other. And then Arabic and Swahili. So in our view, we are saying the indigenous languages currently used in the AU
yes.
are Swahili and Arabic. So why don't they make a decision that all schools in Africa will learn Arabic and Swahili?
Arabic.
Right?
Yes.
Then that means if a child starts in a primary 2, 3 with Arabic and Swahili, by the time they are 18, they can talk wherever they meet.
Right.
So in 20 years, you would have changed how Africa relates with each other.
Yes.
Because they can communicate without having to go through other languages.
Yes,
and of course, it would even be cheaper for us in the AU.
Yes, the interpreters.
There's translation, translators, and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So in a way, what Pan-African movement, Rwanda Chapter is suggesting is that whatever is now a challenge, a barrier, should be saying, how do we remove it? But see it as an opportunity to forge the unity we want using that weakness.
Yes.
Like the one I've described. And it would, so you can pick anything, even lack of infrastructure.
Yes.
If deliberately one country and another one, with the resources of the people, right, connect roads that link them, and they will know, oh, we are traveling this road because we worked on it, and the other one's rocked. It will be their road. But now it's each country's road. So shared implementation of a certain project can also link people.
Right.
So you look at the weaknesses and then say, how do I use them to carry me forward to the journey I want to achieve?
Yes, there is a lot I could ask you
That's
about
true.
this, and we could discuss about this. But because of time, allow me to come close to the end of this conversation. Rwanda is marking 31 years of liberation. Early June, we're going to celebrate it or mark it. What does this day mean to you personally?
For me, I see it as a continuation. The 62 days, the 62 years celebration of African Liberation Day, and the 31 years, that's half.
Yes.
Right? I see it as a continuation. That incidentally, the injustices that the liberation,
Yes.
the RPF liberation, RPF-led liberation, because it's a Rwandan liberation, RPF-led liberation, should not have happened if Rio liberation in 1962 had happened. It wouldn't have. If people had come out and said, yes, the Belgian, European, actually, it was not a Belgian, European strategy of controlling people was divide and rule, use people against each other. If they had recognized that one and said, now, for us to be able to grow strong is to revoke that one, reunite the people so that you can move forward, then this liberation wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't. To remove the injustice that should have been removed. So that's why I say, to me, it's a continuation.
Continuation.
It's a continuation. You see that one, and that's why it is also a good firm basis for the Pan-Africanism.
Yes.
To continue, to be able eventually to have Africa liberated, because it is still not yet liberated.
Yes.
So that's the first view.
Yes.
The second one, which is the most, just as important, the first one, is that the determined core strategy of doing things ourselves, self-liberation, not to look for other people to give you, to liberate you.
Yes.
I think that is very core. That again, if it can be in the spirit of Rwandans and Africans, that we have to do it ourselves. That is very core, still necessary.
Yes.
To especially, it's against the dependence. Somebody else will come and help me. Our chairman, our president keeps telling us nobody will do it.
No one will do it, yes.
Whoever wants to do it has something else he wants you
yes.
to use you for.
Right.
So do it yourself. And it goes with the third principle again, that while RPF led the struggle, but it was not RPF to liberate, it was RPF to mobilize people to liberate themselves. And that's where another that gets missed. Yes, we shall recognize the people who sacrificed to do it. But the whole intention was you to change.
To change, yes.
And be liberated. So again, the continuation moves on. We have to, it's not yet over. It was a mark of a switch of power, state power, but it is a basis, a foundation for saying, let's keep finding which areas of our lives, of our relationships, that needs further liberation. And we do it, but together.
Yes. Again, there is still a lot we can talk about the liberation of Rwanda, but my last question to you, do you have any Pan-African thinkers or leaders that have impacted or influenced your journey as a leader, as a politician, and now as a Pan-Africanist?
Oh, of course, very many.
Yes.
Very many. It's very many. You can talk about the writings of Boer, very, very proficient and Fanon, Amir Cabral. Then you have Nyerere, Biko in Southern Africa. The thinking and implementation of Kagame is quite revealing. It keeps testing.
President Kagame.
President Kagame is.
But you've worked closely with him.
Oh yes.
And you it still amazes you.
You ask, for me, ask anyone who sits in the cabinet. Who is a professor of agriculture, the president still has something to teach him in agriculture. And that capacity of assessing, getting information, assessing, and getting the correct strategy, to me is very, now, the courage now to introduce new Pan-Africanist ideas when the others are still, I'll give you an example. I think we were the first said no visa for Africans, no work permits for East Africans, right?
Yes.
You can see there's many people getting to be Rwandan.
Right.
Acquiring citizenship.
Yes.
In other countries, to acquire citizenship is
a whole long process.
Oh, a long process, but here it becomes quite easy. Look at Canadian Meron, the Pan-African schools.
Yes.
Of science and technology, of governance now. Yeah? So everything you see it as Pan-African. Then when you see on peace and security, right? Mm-hmm. Saying as long as there is insecurity in the other ones, I have content in mind, I can
support,
come
I can give
support and help. And when you are there, you are not doing it as a paid mercenary.
Right.
You go there as an African, working with the people and that kind of. So it's not shouted on the rooftops and in writings, but that practical. I'd forgotten. I think there's a Connect Africa use.
Yes, yes.
So try to follow these programs that are connecting Africa. Oh, you remember Libya?
Yes.
When they were Africans being tortured and so on, they said, no, you are free, come and rest,
refuge, yeah.
Rethink, then do whatever you can out of distress. That's Pan-Africanist. So I think for you think it has happened, and because people have been conditioned to think that they cannot create initiatives,
yes,
that are not dictated by the other powers.
The West.
When you do it, people become suspicious. He's doing it because he's going to get money.
Interest, there is profit.
And nothing. Says, these Africans are suffering.
Let's help them.
Let's help them. So, so there is the writings and so on, but then you see the actions. Deliberate, consistent, and that gives you hope that one day Africa will be free.
Mr. Chair, allow me to thank you so much for making time, and hopefully we'll get another more time for us to...
Yes, I would want it, but I want to come and listen when you are discussing it.
With young people.
With young people.
I know, we've said this. Allow me to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once young people listen to this, as you heard,
yes,
you would love to hear your thoughts and what you think about this. So share your comments, spread the word. Thank you so much for following the New Times. Till next time, God bless.